Hi, I'm Piero. Thanks for having me here. Good to see some familiar faces. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Osmo. So what is Osmo? Osmo is a payment company powered by Bitcoin. We help people and companies move money faster than ever. And what's our vision? It's to become the largest payment company in Latin America. So what do we encompass? Osmo Wallet is a B2C service. Osmo Business is a B2B merchant payment solution. And we have a B2B2C solution called Osmo Enterprise that helps businesses, mainly money business services, move money using Lightning instead of their traditional SWIFT and whatnot. For the purpose of this pitch, I'm going to speak specifically about the product that we have developed the most so far, which is Osmo Wallet. So what is Osmo Wallet? Osmo Wallet is a mobile payment service, similar to Strike, that helps people in Latin America send and receive money anywhere using a mobile app. So a couple of features that Osmo has. We have bank integrations in several countries. When users open an account, they have multi-currency accounts. It's fully interoperable. Naturally, running on Bitcoin, we're interoperable with any Bitcoin wallet or exchange. People can send money and pay anyone, anywhere, at any time. And naturally, we have a Bitcoin exchange integrated in the wallet, and people can also exchange between currencies. So what's cool about Osmo? There's no Bitcoin knowledge needed to use Osmo. Users have instant settlement in fiat currency. There's no asset volatility if the user doesn't believe in Bitcoin. No wallet management. We are a custodial solution, and we are on-chain and Lightning enabled. And naturally, it's much cheaper than existing solutions to move money. So let's talk a little bit about the current landscape. 6 out of 10 people in Latin America don't have access to any financial services. 85% of the economy moves in cash or cash equivalents like checks. And money transfers in the year 2023 are still incredibly expensive and super slow. So let's talk a little bit more about that. They're super slow. International transfers take between 2 and 7 business days. Local transfers, believe it or not, can take up to a day. They're expensive. International transfers cost between $8 and $75 plus foreign exchange fees. And local transfers, believe it or not, cost between $1 and $5. And lastly, they're not inclusive. Only those with a bank account, which is about 30% of the population, can send digital payments. Everything else is cash-based. And this obviously excludes 65% of the population. So a little bit more about the current landscape. We have terrible, shitty, horrible online banking. In fact, this is the screenshot of my online banking back in Guatemala. There's no Venmo, no Cash App, no Zelle, not even PayPal, which is the first fintech to ever exist. That doesn't work in my countries. And cash pickups, which is how Western Union works, by sending physical bills and receiving physical bills, are time-consuming and expensive. So what's our initial target market? We are right now here, and we're operating out of Guatemala, and our initial target market is Central America and Mexico. But then we plan to expand to every Spanish-speaking country. Having said that, our app today is available as a custodial online, on-chain and Lightning solution everywhere in the world. So anyone can use it, just like you use Wallet of Satoshi. So why start in Central America? Mainly because of the remittance landscape. Just to give you an idea, Mexico has 127 million people and receives $60 billion a year in remittances, which might sound like a lot, but it's not that much if you consider that Guatemala has a population of only 18 million people, so about 20% of that of Mexico, and receives $20 billion a year in remittances. And if you see it as a percentage of GDP, the northern triangle of Central America, which is Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, Remittances represent about 25% of the GDP, whereas Mexico, only 4% of GDP comes in from remittances. So why start in Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Central America? Well, because we get more bang for our buck. As I said, the region has 34 million people, so about a fourth of the population of Mexico, and we receive $36 billion a year in remittances. Meanwhile, Mexico, with a lot bigger market, bigger population, receives 60 billion. But what about remittances? They keep growing at 16% year over year, and this is not slowing down. So why now? Why start Osmo now? Well, Lightning Network adoption is skyrocketing. Smartphone adoption is over 80%. Just to give you an idea, when Venmo launched in the United States in 2010, the smartphone adoption was pretty much at the same place where it is today in Central America and Mexico. So let's talk a bit about Osmo today. Our unique value proposition: Osmo users don't need to have a bank account. Onboarding takes on average 48 seconds. It gives users access to multiple currencies, international money transfers, and a MasterCard debit card. So for all intents and purposes, we're banking the unbanked, because once they have access to their money digitally and a debit card, we essentially work like Revolut works in Europe. And something that's really exciting is that for the first time ever, people in Latin America can send fiat over Lightning and pay at any merchant in the world that takes Bitcoin without owning any Bitcoin. So how do we do this? Well, we use Bitcoin as a network, the same way that banks use Visa and MasterCard. Now, how do we make money? We make money on foreign exchange, or the exchange between local currency and Bitcoin, transaction fees. But what's really exciting is that once we capture the user, the end user, we can offer a myriad of financial services that today they don't have access to, like loans, payday loans, et cetera, et cetera. But right now we're focusing on the money transferring. So what do we do that others don't? First and foremost, we focus on Latin America. Why? Because I'm from Latin America. Second, we offer fiat over Lightning. But something that's really important that most companies have not yet understood is that we are available for the unbanked. We've created a network of 20,000 physical locations that serve as cash in and cash out, so that we can digitalize the physical bills that represent 90% of the economy. And, well, we have bank on and off ramps in several countries in Latin America as well. So what do we know that others don't know? Well, we know the industry inside and out. I've been a migrant for most of my life, so I know how painful it is to send money back to my countries. And also, I grew up in the remittance industry. My grandfather, 40 years ago, brought Western Union to my region of the world. And being a family business, well, I've worked at my family business directly and indirectly my whole life, so I really understand how the remittance industry works, like deeply within. So let's talk a bit about traction in these couple minutes we have left. Right now we have 1,800 users in Guatemala and about 1,500 in El Salvador. So far we have about 10,000 app downloads, and out of those, roughly 7,000 users have registered and done KYC on the app. A couple of milestones. We launched 11 months ago, so not a year yet, in Guatemala. We have on and off ramps in Nicaragua and Guatemala, but we also have off-ramps in 6 countries, including Mexico, all the way down to Costa Rica. We've secured a partnership with Strike, which we announced in April of this year. We have a BIN sponsorship, and we'll start emitting MasterCard debit cards in the next month and a half, roughly. We partnered with the biggest remittance company in Central America that allows us to disperse funds to anyone, to any bank account or cash pickup location in 6 countries, including Mexico. And we've secured a network of 20,500 physical retail locations where people can buy Bitcoin in cash or convert their Bitcoin for cash. Because again, 90% of transactions occur in cash, and cash is still needed. A couple of metrics: on-ramps in 2 countries, off-ramps in 6. Over 6,000 users. We've processed about $675,000. We're registered as a money service business in 5 countries. We've processed over 35,000 transactions. And as I mentioned, we have over 20,000 physical retail points for cash in and cash out. This is a demo, but I'm not sure if it can be played. I can gladly show it to you offline. It's pretty cool to see how fiat converts instantly to Bitcoin to pay at any Bitcoin merchant. So just a quick recap of what is Osmo and what's different. Fast and inclusive onboarding to even the unbanked population. It takes 45 seconds to open an account. 2, the lowest fees. We're on average 50% cheaper than Western Union, MoneyGram, and the likes. We provide instant payments. Sending money on Osmo is faster than sending a WhatsApp. And lastly, your money, your rules. You can move money whenever you want, however you want, to whoever you want. This is a bit of my team. I'm a co-founder and CEO. Juan Sebastian is in charge of the dev team. He's our CTO. And Victor is the numbers guy and our CFO. Thank you.
Wow, amazing job. Within 1 year, 10,000 app downloads is great. And a very good team as well. So congratulations on that. Is it just the 3 of you so far?
We're a team of 7.
7. Cool. Awesome. Where do I start? So how does it work technically, the conversion between Bitcoin on Lightning to fiat? Is there a Bitcoin-based stable coin involved, like Taro?
No. We have fiat and different fiat accounts in different countries and different currencies. And that's kind of revolving capital that we use. Very similarly, the way that remittance companies do it today. They just have different balances in different countries and different bank accounts and different currencies. So whenever somebody has fiat, again, you can have also Bitcoin on Osmo. But let's say for the vast majority of people that don't believe in Bitcoin, are not ready for Bitcoin yet, they have fiat in their Osmo wallet. And whenever they scan a QR code, that creates a sale of fiat or a purchase of Bitcoin. We take that fiat out of their balance, convert it to Bitcoin, and essentially we send the payment in their name to the merchant.
So if a merchant accepts Bitcoin, people with Osmo can send fiat, or can pay in fiat.
Can pay in fiat, and the merchant will receive Bitcoin. If it's a merchant that accepts our B2B solution, our payment service to receive payments, they charge in fiat. They create a Lightning or on-chain QR code, and they receive Bitcoin, which converts automatically to fiat. So at the end of the day, the merchant that uses Osmo Business receives fiat in their bank account, and we charge 2.5% fee for processing fee, which might sound pretty high, but if you take into consideration that in Central America and Mexico, credit card processors charge between 5 and 8% per transaction, 2.5% is a no-brainer. So right now we have 300 merchants live, and we have a wait list of about 5,000 merchants. These are big institutional clients, and it takes a really long time to onboard them. So for example, the largest supermarket chain in Guatemala, they have 200 locations. They are part of that wait list, just because getting through them and they're legal, signing a contract takes a lot of time. But again, they receive fiat at the end of the day in their bank account, minus 2.5% processing fee.
Interesting. And can this also work the other way around? So can I also pay in Bitcoin and the merchant receives fiat?
Yes. So you don't need to have Osmo. You can go to Guatemala today and pay with your wallet of Satoshi or any wallet that you have, and pay at any of our merchants, and they will receive fiat. No merchant so far wants to receive the Bitcoin. They all like the value proposition of it's cheaper than a credit card, instant settlement, and I receive it in my bank accounts at the end of the day with no asset volatility, and I can say my merchant is cool because I take Bitcoin. Let's do it. So you can pay with Bitcoin in any of the 300 merchants that are live today, but they will all receive fiat.
Amazing. And then a question you probably get a lot of times: what differentiates you to Strike?
Mainly, I'm from Latin America, and I've seen it time and time again, not only in the money service business space, but in any space. Local people want local solutions. Like, we come from a history of being colonized. So when you have a gringo come and tell you that you should use their product, nobody wants to use their product.
Did you just call Jack a gringo?
Jack is a gringo. So anyways, I think that is the biggest differentiator. And if you look at Mexico, nobody uses Binance and nobody uses Coinbase. They use Bitso. If you look at the delivery apps, nobody uses DoorDash or Uber Eats. They use Rappi. Nobody uses Amazon. They use Mercado Libre. So Latin America has shown over the past 20 years, since the boom of the internet, that we want local solutions. And mainly because I know how to talk to my people. Even though our countries are small and they're very close together, you don't speak to a Guatemalan person the same way you speak to a Salvadorian person. Just like you don't speak to a person, even though it's English, you don't speak to a person in Australia the same way you speak to a person in Texas. It's English, but it's very different. So I would say we know our turf.
So if it's correct to assume that you depend on licensing because you're custodial, how do you manage risk of getting denied a license?
There are no licenses in the countries that we operate for custody or not custody. This is a question that we get a lot. In terms of regulation, and we have tight relationships with most regulators, they want to regulate it. They don't know how to, and they've asked our help and also other friends. IBEX is included in the people that are speaking with the regulators because they want our help to draft the laws. In terms of regulation, we're not really worried about regulation, and we're very light years behind of the regulation in the United States and Europe. What worries me the most, and I guess our biggest Achilles heel, is the relationships with the banks. Because if the banks realize that this is the future, if my company doesn't have bank accounts to receive the funds from my users, from those that are banked, again, the vast majority of users are unbanked, but if I don't have bank accounts for my company, then it's a lot harder to operate. So regulation is really not on our radar of things that we worry about, but more relationships with banks is where the thing is a little more fragile.
Do you think you could manage the risk of being denied bank relationships by using a Bitcoin native stablecoin, like a stablecoin that runs on Lightning?
Yes, like that is plan B if the banks decide to close all of our accounts. But so far, the way we've done it is we've gone and spoken to the smaller banks that really want to take a piece of the pie from the bigger banks that move the remittances, and they're really on board with us putting our money in their bank. So we've gone to the small guys to really fight the Goliath, which are the bigger banks.
Okay, so my question is, you mentioned that you have 20,000 off-ramp points. So I assume you didn't go to all of them to onboard them. So how did you do that?
I went to existing networks. So, for example, the equivalent of Co-op or 7-Eleven, convenience stores in Guatemala, just one of them has 6,000 locations. So out of those 20,000, one contract got me 6,000 points. I also went to existing remittance companies that have a lot of cash on hand and are used to. And essentially what I said is, listen, you work with Western Union, you work with MoneyGram, you work with a bunch of other remittance companies. Osmo is another remittance company. MoneyGram today uses Stellar and USDC actually, to settle transactions nowadays. And what we said is, we're just another remittance company in your eyes, but we use Bitcoin as a settlement layer. So all I needed is to sign one contract, and I got another 8,000 locations. So we have about 6 contracts represent those 20,000.
What is the sense of your partnership with Strike? Does it mean that if I'm a Strike user, I can send USD from United States directly to your Osmo wallet?
If you're a Strike user, you can If you're a Strike user, you can send USD to any bank account in Guatemala. Soon you will be able to send to any bank account from Mexico down to Costa Rica, because that's where we have off-ramps. But you can also, so to answer your question, the recipient does not need to have Osmo. You can send with a phone number only to any Osmo user without the need to scan a QR code or a Lightning address or a Bitcoin address. But if the person that's receiving doesn't have Osmo and has a bank account, you can send it from Strike straight into any Guatemalan bank account. If the user doesn't have Osmo and doesn't have a bank account, he will receive an SMS that says, hey, John sent you $10 on Strike. Click on this link to redeem them. So they click on the link, they download Osmo, and as soon as they create their account, which takes less than 48 seconds, they have those $10 already in Osmo, which they can take out at any, if they want it in physical bills, at any of the physical locations.
All right, let's have a round of applause for Piero.
Thank you.